through 2. Nolan Arenado, Dylan Carlson, Harrison Bader for St. Louis. 1-0 our score. And looking at two of the best third basemen in recent memory in St. Louis. Scott Rowland, the St. Louis Cardinals Hall of Famer, looks to be an MLB Hall of Famer and a guy that's putting together a Hall of Fame career in Nolan Arenado. Not a bad coming out party for either one of those two. His first years were impressive, to say the least. Scott Rowland, by the way, jumped from 52.9% of the vote on the ballot for MLB Hall of Fame to 63.2%. And some of the other guys that were on there for their 10th and final year are now off the ballot. So
that's awesome.
I don't think it would surprise anybody to see him voted in next year.
Not at all.
And deserving. Nolan Arenado, his first season in St. Louis was a dandy. This guy is fun to watch. So he can opt out again after this season. Most believe that will not happen. And the point I'm trying to make is that there is a comfort level that he is now in year 2 in St. Louis. Full crowds, understanding what the situation looks like. Hit softly to short. Arenado retired. But that second year, you're more comfortable. There's no doubt.
Yeah, well, the year goes by fast. And I had a lot of conversations with him last year, and kept talking about he was missing fastballs that he normally didn't miss, and I think he started to make adjustments that he may not have needed to make. And it kind of, you know how quickly things go, right? Day to day to day to day, and it's hard to make that adjustment. And I think the year kind of got away from him where he wanted to be average-wise, but he had a great year, and so be interesting to see how some of these guys make their comeback as far as working on what they felt like they didn't do well last year.
Is it me, or do we not talk about this young man enough? He just went about his business so quietly. Nice first year with 18 home runs, 780 the OPS. Really nice job shifting at times from center field to right field. We just forget how young he is.
Yeah, and I think that's along with the hitting. I think the ability to be able to play center field for him is his best asset. He's a big kid, but he pays attention to the game. He's got a little bit of that Jim Edmonds in him, where he kind of likes to watch the pitcher and the catcher and the location, and he moves around. It gives him that extra step or two where maybe Bader can make up for the speed. And I just like watching him and talking to him, and he's a lot more wise than his years, especially baseball-wise.
Growing up in a baseball family will do that. Father is head coach all the way through. 1 ball and 2 strikes and a shift on the right side of the infield, and that may be eliminated after this season. That's one of the rules that has been talked about, that in the new CBA following this year, would they limit or ban the shift? And they're going to continue to have various experimental rule changes in the minor leagues this year. Bigger bags, elimination of the shift, the pitch clock, robot umps at certain levels. That could be coming. So get ready for it.
That'll be interesting. I like the we saw a couple of robot umps last year and the year past where the ball had skipped in the grass and they called the strike, and you saw the player just kind of walk off because there's no one to argue with.
Nothing you can do. Register now for the Cardinals 5K. That'll be April 16th, presented by Bally Sports Midwest, including a scenic course, victory lap around the field at Busch, a pullover, and a finisher medallion featuring the great Bob Gibson. Sign up now at cardinals.com/5K. Here's Harrison Bader. Well, the numbers bear it out. When Bader and O'Neill played together and were healthy enough to be in the same lineup, this team took off. Part of that was defense and also what they did at the plate. And Harrison Bader winning his first Gold Glove a season ago.
Not a surprise.
He had 11 4 and 5-star catches. And that's catches with probabilities of less than 50%. So the first Cardinals center fielder to win a Gold Glove since my partner today, Jimmy Edmonds, who captured 8. Curt Flood did it, Willie McGee, Jason Hayward, and Tyler O'Neill, outfielders in recent memory. The pitch taken high to Harrison Bader, and it's 3-0.
You see the velocity a little bit higher this inning. You know, Justin Verlander kind of feeling a little bit better. I think that first inning maybe coming back, live pitching might be a little scary after Tommy John, but a few miles an hour difference already. You see the ball's up though.
Yeah,
but he's letting it fly. Good for him. That's a good thing to see when you see a guy like this who's been around and been a staple in the league come back from Tommy John, and just hopefully he can stay healthy. It's a big presence in Major League Baseball.
3-1 pitch, and it's taken high, so a 2-out walk for Bader. One of the keys, if not the biggest key for this offense of the Cardinals, comes in the former Paul DeJong, and trying to get him to some form or fashion of when he was the guy that was an all-star and hitting 30 home runs. Defensively, DeJong and Sosa combined were a great pairing. I mean, if you look at the analytics, it was some of the best in baseball, but trying to get a little bit more offensively out of that position.
Well, he's very capable, and I was reading an article today where he said he needed to get out of his own head, and to be honest with you, from my personal dealings with him, I think that's the issue. He'll allow himself to go a little space and then start thinking too much instead of just trying to hit. And he gets a little, he gets a little feely with the bat, where he kind of wants to guide balls into right center, thinking I got to stay on the ball and I got to hit the ball to the right side. It's really not the guiding it to right field. It's just the thought process of letting the ball get a little deeper in the hitting zone and staying on it a little bit longer, so you don't have those swings at the sliders down and away, and you can recognize those pitches more. And I think when you start overthinking it, you really start getting into moving and dipping and kind of like feeling for the ball versus you. And if you start feeling for a 95-mile-an-hour fastball, by the time your thought process pops up, you can see a lot of fastballs getting thrown by guys, and that's just not being aggressive enough. This guy's got all the capabilities to do what he's done, and that's the 30 home runs. And he's very qualified to be a 270, 280, 290 hitter. So it's just going out there and doing that again. And maybe, last year was a good thing for him. Maybe he needed to learn that it's not always going to be easy, and I'm going to have to work a little harder at certain things. If you don't ever fail, you don't ever really work on stuff that one day is going to pop up. And, hopefully for him, it popped up early enough where he's going to have, he went home and try to figure some things out where now he can just do it and not think.
That's it out of play, and it's 2-2. Justin Verlander, one of the players that you faced.
Yep.
You saw him in the
Not too many guys left.
World Series pitching for Detroit. He had some monster seasons, Cy Young years in Detroit.
That story too is after the World Series, I went to Las Vegas with some friends, and the very first night we were there, we went out to dinner, and he was sitting right next to us after the World Series.
Did you give him any trouble?
Oh no, I went over and talked to him and shook his hand, bought him a drink, and it was interesting. Super nice guy. Had a lot of respect for him after spending a few minutes talking to him.
It's been a remarkable.
Just the way I view it. Yeah, for me, it's
all had at least 70 innings pitched a year ago. That's a lot.
That's a lot. You can see right there, the only team with those guys. And, we saw a couple of those guys struggle towards the end. So hopefully they learned a lot from being in those situations over and over. And I think for a pitcher, especially a reliever, you have to learn how to pitch without your best stuff. And if you can do that, then you can stay successful. But if you can't go out there and not have 100% of your stuff, you're going to have trouble if you don't figure out how to overcome it.
2 balls and no strikes on the 9th place batter. Zach Daniels, is Cabrera's in relief of Adam Wainwright, who went 2 innings, was efficient in terms of his usage of the strike zone. A lot of strikes today from old Uncle Charlie. 2-0 pitch, put in play, hit to the right side. Tommy Edman, one away. 30 pitches and 23 were strikes for Adam Wainwright. At one point, Cardinals had Trent Baker up, who was a draft choice in the 2021 season. And I kind of think that's what we may see, Jimmy, in these games, is that the clean inning, starting an inning, would be done by the veterans or those that are close to making the big league club. And then you may see the minor league guys coming in and cleaning up innings if they get out of hand.
Yeah, and you tend to see that during spring training at the end or kind of in the middle where, you know, if a guy struggles in an inning, you're going to see two guys throwing, and it usually is the younger guy that will end up sitting down if he gets through the inning or coming in if he doesn't. And that's a great point because you've got to take care of your big league arms right now. It's kind of unfair to say, hey, you know, this and that, but that's just the way it goes. And the big league guys take precedent, and you know, you'll get your innings down there in the minor leagues, trust me.
There's the 0-1 pitch to Pedro Leon, and that's hit out of play. We just saw Skip Schumacher. For those that don't know, he is back now with the St. Louis Cardinals after his time with the Padres. Also, Cardinals have added an assistant hitting coach in Turner Ward. There's Skip there on the right. Ollie right there in the middle. Good to have Skip back in the Cardinal red. One of our favorites.
Yeah, good guy. I mean, another one of those guys that kind of had to learn a couple different positions and has a lot of knowledge because of that. And he's a hardworking guy and just a great down-to-earth, no nonsense, great guy in the clubhouse.
10-plus seasons, by the way, in the big leagues.
Pretty
made the
impressive.
Transition to second base for a season. Good player. Here's a 1-2. And a breaking ball taken high. Cardinals have put together now 14 straight winning seasons. Won the World Series 06, 07, hung around but finished below 500, and then 08. Another above 500 season and haven't been below since. It's one shy of the franchise record of 15. It was interesting to hear Ollie talk about what he wants to do, the back end of the bullpen, and maybe not having that traditional closer all the time. There's a strikeout. But using your high leverage guy in the 7th or the 8th, and that's many times when a ball game is won or lost.
We talked about this in the past, and my dad used to say that to me all the time, like, hey, isn't your closer the guy that should shut the game down no matter when you need it? And I thought, well, that's not a bad idea, but
you got to get to the ninth first,
that's
right?
not the way the game's been played for the last 100 years, but anyways. Speaking of the last 100 years, I have a birthday wish coming your way, my friend. Somebody in Rosemary Beach, Florida, sent happy birthday wishes to my partner, Danny Mack, and it was the McLaughlin family. And I got a nice text from your wife, and she said, don't forget to mention it on the air. And we're thinking about him because we're not there today and hoping you're having the best birthday ever.
I don't know if it could be any better, Jimmy, sitting here with you. And baseball is back. Also, big happy birthday to Pam O'Fallon, who's watching the game down in Jupiter. Thanks for the birthday wishes. But the MVP with Cardinal Red Jacket Club. Number 4, Yadier Molina. Have $4 tickets and $50 all-inclusive tickets for Monday through Thursday games in the first couple of months. But as low as $4 tickets, and then all-inclusive, which is all you can eat and drink, and that's $50. So take advantage of that.
That's like being in the green seats.
You got it.
All-inclusive. It's a pretty... That's a pretty fun deal right there. All you got to do is tip your waitress.
The designated hitter is Lars Nootbaar. Now, the Cardinals have made it official within the last hour or so. They signed Corey Dickerson, left-handed batter, 9 years in the big leagues. Got a 1-year deal. He's 32, and he's played with Colorado, Tampa, Pittsburgh, the Phillies, Miami, Toronto last year. He's an all-star in Tampa Bay in 2017. But Corey Dickerson now giving a very right-handed hitting lineup a left-handed presence, can play the outfield, all three spots, and some depth for the Cardinals.
Yeah, I think that's a great pickup right there. Left-handed hitters are a premium, obviously, but I think it'll be interesting this year with the DH to see how they kind of work guys in and out. You know, you think about all of the guys on that field right now in the red are primarily National League players, and so they're used to playing every day. And so, you know, you see when we go into American League teams, or kind of like, okay, who needs the day off? Who needs to, you know, who's the DH today? And now you can kind of play with that all year long. So kind of another weapon that Ollie can use to his benefit to maybe give a guy some days off with his legs, and especially like a guy like Yadi. You know, I think that's going to benefit Yadi a lot when he doesn't have to be behind the plate for an entire game, even though he's the kind of guy that's going to want to catch and should be catching and is one of the leaders out there. But Andrew Knizner is very, very good at his job, and he's very capable of doing his job back there.
It's not thrown a strike yet. That's what you get sometimes in minor league games or in early spring training.
That's overthrowing early and trying to impress right there. You could tell by the first couple pitches he was cutting. When that ball starts cutting across, that is just a little bit out of whack and overthrowing.
Two balls and no strikes. We're in the home half of the third. Cardinals trailing by a run. Andrew Knizner, the 9th place batter today in this lineup. And that is a ball, 3-0.
Either that or maybe he has just got a natural cutter. You can't control it.
Yeah, that happens too.
A little different when a right-handed hitter gets in there and you're not too comfortable and don't really know where you want to aim the fastball.
Taken high, and that's 8 straight balls. Back-to-back walks. Top of the lineup, and Tommy Edman, who grounded back to the pitcher. The starter today, Justin Verlander. So Knizner at first, Nootbaar at second, and Tommy Edman coming to the dish. Tommy was one of only 2 National League players with 30 or more stolen bases. Trey Turner at 32, Tommy with 35, and then Fernando Tatis at 25. And that is a strike. It may be a little bit of a gift. A little smile
from everyone.
Tommy.
All right, then.
You know, it's interesting that Ollie talked about what he'd do in the back end of games with his bullpen. It'll also be interesting to see what he does with his lineup. And there's been talk that he would change things up potentially. That's a good change up there.
Good change up.
With the Cardinals, in terms of fewest lineups used in 2021, you know, they were in the top 5. I mean, they didn't change a lot of different things with their lineup, and I wonder if Ollie's going to be a little different in that mindset.
Well, I don't know. That's kind of the thing you want as a player. So it'll be, you know, you're expecting it when you don't swing the bat well. But if you're playing the game well, you expect to come in kind of, you're the main guys in the lineup to just not even have to look at that lineup each and every day, just be ready to go.
I'm thinking more of like your leadoff man. You know, Kyle Schwarber was batting leadoff at one point. You know, we've seen Rizzo do that. You know, would
give Ollie, guys maybe some more fastballs.
Yeah, would he be along that mindset? There's Goldschmidt, who's batting second today. More times than not in his career, he's batting third or fourth. Struck out his first time up.
Well, you think about it, hits the ball to the right side a lot, just kind of like Yadi does. And I don't really like, personally, Molina to hit second, only because I think he, you know, the more times that he has to go back and forth, and especially in the heat, and on and off the field and hitting and running and all that, I want to kind of maybe drop him down and drive in runs. But if you have him who can hit behind the runner and have power, and then you also have Goldie who hits the ball the other way really well. So you have your options. But I don't know, just for me, I just try to protect Yadi's body a little bit more as far as running him out there more than less, to be honest with you, just plain and simple. Maybe hitting him 6th or 5th, just get the RBI spot because he is so talented with the bat. And you still have times where you have to hit behind runners, but he also knows when he needs to do that and doesn't need to do that. He will drive the ball when everyone's thinking he's going to maybe try to drive the ball the other way, and he'll jump ship on you right away. You know how he likes to cheat that first pitch. So smart hitter.
2-2 the count. Runners at first and second for Goldie. Our first spring training game and telecast of 2022. We'll be televising 7 games on Bally Sports Midwest this spring. The 2-2 pitch. 3-2.
I also think that each year kind of has its own story, right? And so, maybe this is the year that he's not going to try to hit the ball the other way as much. Let's say, when you got a guy like Goldie, or this year, maybe DeYoung is going to work on hitting. But, you just never know who's going to be in that 2-hole hitter. Or you get an older team where you just know everybody's going to do the same stuff every time they go out there, and you just can let it fly.
Ground ball that stays fair. And it turns out to be just 1. Throw was up the line just a bit. It's a play that Arenado, when he's at third defensively, it's almost a given.
I was wondering if Goldie thought this was... Yeah, he kind of stepped on first with the wrong foot. Or stepped on third with the wrong foot.
Yeah. Not Tyler O'Neill.
Just barely in between right there, not to get a strong throw.
O'Neill grounded out to second, first time up. Runners at first and second with 2 away. 18th pitch by France, who walked the first 2 on 8 pitches to begin this inning.
J.P. France is the 14th pick out of Mississippi State.
Yep.
How about that?
Here's a 1-0.
14th round. Sorry, did I say 14th pick?
The gang is back together, if you will, Jimmy. The great Tom Mee, our director, Brian Shapiro, Brian McCann, Keith O'Brien, and his assistant, Keith Oberman. Mark Winter is back as well. And they are in mid-season form.
Oh, yes.
2 balls and a strike on Tyler O'Neill. Now our technical director is Nick Thompson, and Nick was working very hard during Billiken basketball this year. These guys are in the best shape of their lives, too.
They've been working hard all winter while we've
bet.
been watching TV.
3-1 pitch. And the bases will be loaded. So 3 walks in the inning. And in steps Nolan Arenado. Jimmy, excitement in game 1 of a long journey that is a season. At the bottom of the 3rd, Nolan Arenado with the bases loaded. Nowhere to put him, Jimmy.
Nowhere to put him. Could be his final at-bat of this game. Maybe, maybe not.
I wonder if these guys are going to play a little bit more in these games because of this.
Still think you have to be careful the first couple days just because of the torque from doing things that you normally don't do, and that's hitting balls in the gap.
Out to center, that ball is down. 1 run is in. Here comes another. Arenado thought about going to second. He'll retreat back to the bag at first, and it's a 2-1 St. Louis lead. Nolan Arenado drives in a pair, and it's 2-1 Cardinals.
Well, it's a nice job of hitting right there. And there you go, as you see him coming off the field, and that was his final at bat for the day. But got a guy that's been struggling a little bit. You have a veteran that can kind of pick a pitch, and he got a pitch to hit. Don't waste any time. Hit a strike when you can.
It's Juan Yepez, who is running for Goldschmidt, so his day is through. Kisner came in to score, Yepez to follow, and it makes it a 2-1 St. Louis lead. There's Dylan Carlson. Popped out his first time. 2 outs, runners at the corners, and swung on and missed. The switch hitter, Dylan Carlson. Brendan Donovan now running for Arenado at first. And the club very high on that young man. He's got a chance to make this team, along with Yepez and maybe a Nolan Gorman. Part of that will be whether or not rosters are expanded in the beginning of the season. Maybe you go to 28 to protect pitchers specifically as the ball gets away, but O'Neill will stay at third, Donovan to second base. I would think that GMs and president of baseball operations across Major League Baseball would be concerned about that, especially trying to cover innings early in these games. You know, maybe add a couple of pitchers and protect your assets.
Well, that always seems to be the topic of conversation at the beginning of the year, and it's
especially this year with the shortened spring.
Yeah, and it's one of those things too where if you don't, you better be ready to figure out how to manipulate the up and down of the AAA and big league roster of who you can and cannot bring up. And you know, if you have some guys down there you can trust, then you can kind of play with it a little bit. But there's only 1 or 2 guys down there. I believe you got to send them down for a little bit longer than you want to, and so then it becomes a little tricky.
Two and two the count. Taken just a bit high. Runs full. And France now at 27 pitches in this inning. Three-two pitch. Carlson rips it to the right side. And the final out. All right, now.